Take two. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. I hope that you're here now and we could really start things going the right way. I'm remembering the day before I went away, way back in the hills of old Vermont. And the orchard on the hill, I think I see it still, way back in the hills of old Vermont. For tonight I long to be where the catamount run free and the rattlesnake can lie out in the sun, near the voices of the loons when the apple blossoms bloom, way back in the hills of old Vermont. Well, there used to be a barn near the old fishing pond, way back in the hills of old Vermont. So many fields of hay now gone with yesterday, way back in the hills of old Vermont. For tonight I long to be where the catamount run free and the rattlesnake can lie out in the sun, near the voices of the loons when the apple blossoms bloom, way back in the hills of old Vermont. Well, everything has changed, nothing stays the same, way back in the hills of old Vermont. Like that old brown panther's roar, you won't hear that no more, way back in the hills of old Vermont. For tonight I long to be where the catamount run free and the rattlesnake can lie out in the sun, near the voices of the loons when the apple blossoms bloom, way back in the hills of old Vermont. But when the rains came down and flooded many towns, way back in the hills of old Vermont, all the neighbors lent a hand for the loving of the land, way back in the hills of old Vermont. For tonight I long to be where the catamount run free and the rattlesnake can lie out in the sun, near the voices of the loons when the apple blossoms bloom, way back in the hills of old Vermont. Hi, this is Rik Palieri right here in the hills of old Vermont, and I'm telling you, I've been having a crazy time. Something went wrong with the feed the first time around, and of course you probably noticed who dropped in right while I was in the middle of playing is Dolina. Yes, Dolina made her appearance, and now she is crowded underneath my table. And that's the way we roll around here. You just never know what's going to happen. And I'm glad to, hopefully some folks are here today. I don't know. You know, it's this new, yes, Linda, good. It's working on the phone, but not on my laptop. Okay, let's see what it is. I'm going to try and get some more of the comments here. All right, Jamie Johnson, Rick, from soon to be rainy Phoenix. Good to see you there, Jamie Johnson. And yes, it's been kind of crazy here. So please check in. Tell me how you're doing. We're going to have a little bit of a crazy show here. I tried to get Dolina to come upstairs with me. Well, it didn't work, Mariana, because she's right here. And I tried to do a few things today too. I wanted to share this with a group at the same time, because you're supposed to be able to do that here. This is this new live producer, but I can't figure out how it works. I thought I knew how it works, but I really don't know how it works yet. And so I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants here because everything is kind of going a little bit crazy. So I'm just going to pick up the banjo and play a little bit to try to relax. I don't know if that'll work or not. Let's see. We got a banjo right here. For those who love the old 5-string banjo, like I do. Yeah. Mariana's laughing at me. Yes, I know. The whole thing is my hands have been in sad shape lately. So let's see if my hands want to work. Maybe the more that I play, get warmed up a bit. All right. Bobby Forrest is there, waving along. Do say hello if you're here. Cindy. All right there. And Kenneth Collins. Hey, how you doing there? Good to see you. Now, like I said, it's been kind of crazy here because this is a new thing, this Facebook Live producer. And Mariana says, not laughing at your hands. I don't know. Looks and sounds great. That's good. So this is the Facebook Live producer. And, you know, it is a little bit different than what I'm used to, and I was trying to set it up so it would go live with another live stream. I needed more complications in my life, and that didn't kind of work out the way that I had planned. But I did want to show you something kind of cool that I just got in the mail. Now, there are friends here. There are friends from the Cafe Kokomo. Cafe Kokomo. That's right. This is Truffles from the Cafe Kokomo. Hey, Catherine. Yeah, we're having a little bit of fun here. And Dolina is back up. She's looking around. Yes, I know. So Dolina is here, and Truffles is here. We're all here together. And we are going to show you something kind of cool. All right, now get back down under the table. Lay down. Lay down. How am I going to show this? So, I told you about this kind of cool thing that I got in the mail today. And I thought that you would get a kick out of it. And so I've never, now I've watched, I'm sure that some of you folks have watched these unboxing things. They seem like they're pretty cool, you know? So the first thing you got to do, you got to get this knife. And I got this special knife here is from the Kokomo Kid himself. This is a Barlow knife because I was always singing a Barlow knife. So we're going to cut this part here, and then we're going to cut this part here. And we're going to try not to slice my hand. And then we're going to put this Barlow knife back in this handy dandy sardine tin that Kokomo gave me to store it in. And we're going to take a look at this. So what is this, folks? Now, you know me. I'm not really a big electric kind of guy. I like acoustic music, but I have to use, sometimes with my sound system, I have to use pickups and things like that. And so I'm always using chords. And half of the time, the chords, sometimes they work and sometimes they don't work. And when I was doing my last gig, I found out that I was one chord short. And so I said, well, maybe I should try and get a new chord. And I happened to find this company. It's called Rattlesnake Cable Company. And they are from over in Missoula, Montana, for those people who are keeping score here. And so we open it up. So these are what these unboxing things are. I bet you're all excited. I know everybody's excited here as I unbox this Rattlesnake Cable Company. And the first thing that you see right on the top is what? You see this cool sticker here. This from this Rattlesnake Cable Company. You excited yet? And then, now this is cool. All right, so before I show you this, so then you get, look at this. You get a thank you note right here. You get, thanks for your purchase. And you get all kinds of information about these cables. Now, these cables are high-end cables, all right? All right, that would be me loving the banjo. That's right. So the cool thing that got me about this company is not just the fact that that they're really cool cables. It's about the company itself. They're a small company out in Missoula, and they do a hands-on kind of thing. As you can see, that they send you a thank you. They send you a lot of information here, and they send you this bag that they hand screen, the bag so that you have a place to put your cables. And then you got the cables, and they are kind of cool because they've got a special. You've got to get them out of the bag. Get them out of the bag here. And as you can see, they got this cool snake weave that goes through them, and these gold plugs over here, and they have this handy dandy, thing to keep your cables all together. So I thought that was kind of cool to learn about this company, and you can go to Rattlesnake Cable. I think it's rattlesnakecable.com is the address on it, and learn. You can watch a lot of different videos about how they make these cables, and I think you'll get a kick out of it. And it's really good to support small companies too. Small, companies that are trying to do their best to make a good product. So they're made right here in the USA, and if you could see them up close, you would see that they put a lot of detail into making these cables. So I thought that I would show you that, and maybe later on I'm going to plug them in on one of my guitars here. But I thought, since we're talking about cables. All right. So this was another reason that I had to talk about the Rattlesnake Cable Company. Well, of course, I have rattlesnake in my song, my theme song about the hills of old Vermont. And that's because the rattlesnake is endangered here in Vermont, but there are a few over in West Rutland, and um, and so the idea is that to keep you sometimes you got to keep a place wild, keep the habitat for the wild animals, and that's why I wrote that song. And I like to start every show with that song because it kind of gets me in the mood to share with you. Now, I might have told you this story before. I'm not sure, but I will tell it to you again because it's a good little story. And stories are like that. So this is, of course, from my book. This is from Banjo Man, Adventures of an American Folk Singer. And this goes back to my early years at the last real job that I worked. And this goes back a long, long time. And it was about the when I worked at the wire and cable mill in Linden, New Jersey, Hatfield's wire and cable mill. And the story goes something like this. All of my life, I had watched my father get up at 9 o'clock at night, eat dinner, and go to work at Hatfield's. My father was almost non existent in my life, as he was always working. I would soon find out why my father was so tired and miserable. My dad signed me up, and now, just like him, I too was working at Hatfields. I had never been in a factory before, and certainly had never worked the graveyard shift. The building was colossal, with machines reaching all the way to the ceilings, and the noise was almost deafening. You could hardly talk to anyone unless you shouted. There was also a menacing, unhealthy, almost dangerous atmosphere to the place. No one worried about environmental hazards in those days. The air was filled with lead dust, and many of the employees would never reach the age of retirement. On my first day at work, my father introduced me to all the guys that he had worked with since he left the Navy. I found out that he had a nickname. Here at work, they called him Willie. All of the other guys had monikers as well. There was Big Daddy, the boss, Mulligan Stew, who liked his Irish whiskey, the Hawk, who had a big nose, Cadillac Bob, who was a smart dresser, Bubba, who was a really big fellow, and plenty more. These guys all looked mean. Just the sight of them made you understand why they worked the midnight shift, as you did not want to be seeing them in the daylight. They were tough, mean-looking men. At first, they weren't very friendly, as they didn't like long hairs like me. But after a while, they started warming up and calling me Willie's son. To say that I didn't like Hatfields would be putting it too mildly. The worst thing for me was that you could never get away from the place. You worked all night, and by the time you got home, you were too wide awake to go to sleep. When you finally fell asleep, you dreamt about Hatfields. Then you'd wake up to get ready to go back to work. No, you never could really leave Hatfields. One morning, my father and I rushed to work, only to find a machine was on fire. The guy who was watching the machine said, "Hey, my shift is over. This is your problem now." My dad jumped into action and with his big arms started pulling the cable off the reel and out of the fire. While he and I were holding the line, another worker grabbed a fire extinguisher and put out the blaze. Not wanting to lose a minute of work, someone pushed the start button. All at once, the coil of cable started snapping off the ground, and one loop grabbed my leg. I shot up into the air while my father looked on in horror. "Cut the line! Cut the power!" my father said in a panic. By now, I was hanging upside down, suspended from the cable, and was heading straight into the mouth of the machine. They killed the power just in time and had to cut me loose. My father said, "You're lucky. We almost lost you." A few weeks later, I was walking on a high catwalk, and I was so tired that I almost lost my balance. I caught myself just in time before going over the railing. Once again, my father looked at me and shook his head. Then, just for a moment, it was as if I saw my own face in his, like a peek into my future. What I saw scared me to death. I knew I had to get out of this hellhole, but it seemed like a lost cause, as most of the people who worked here stayed on forever. Then one night, around 3 in the morning, my prayers were answered. It was a slow night. The cable was running smoothly, and there was not much to do. I had brought along my tape recorder and was trying to work on a new piece of banjo music by an old-timer named Wade Ward. The name of the tune was called June Apple. And as the reels of cable went spinning round, the guys on the floor started to tease me about the square dance music I was listening to. Then 2 of the guys playfully joined arms and started to dance. Before long, the rest of these big burly fellows were all in a big circle dancing around the machinery. A few minutes later, Big Daddy, the boss, came in, took one look at me, my tape recorder, and his men dancing, and called everything to a stop. The men jumped back to work, and I had to go into the office for a little talk. It turns out that they didn't think I was right for Hatfields, which was fine with me. They offered to lay me off. The next day, I was a free man. The layoff entitled me to collect unemployment. Back in the mid-70s, when work was hard to find, I also got extended benefits. And after that, I couldn't find a job. It was extended benefits. With those years of unemployment checks heading my way, I had enough time to really figure out how to make a living from my music, and I never had to work for anyone again. And that was back in 1974. So that song changed my life, that old June Apple. I was a June apple sitting on a tree. Every time a true pie, she'd take a bite of me. It's peaches in the summertime, apples in the fall. But I can't have the one I love, won't have none at all, no. I wanted to borrow a little knife. Now I am much older now, I want myself a wife. I wish I was a June apple sitting on a tree. Every time a true pie, she'd take a bite of me, take a bite. I was a jackal sitting on a tree. Every time a tree passed, she'd take a bite of me. All right, all right. Oink, 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 Pamela Zappardino. And I don't know, did she see the Barlow knife? I don't know. We had a good time today. It's been crazy, like I said, a lot of craziness going on here. And the and I showed you earlier on from the unboxing this really cool cable from Rattlesnake Cable Company. I told you a cool story about cables, and so I thought that check them out. Rattlesnakecable.com. Go listen to some folks who can really talk about cables. I never knew there was so much. Believe me, after working at Hatfield Wire and Cable Company, I never wanted to see another cable again. So when I saw this cool company, Rattlesnake Cable Company, I said, well, this is worth a try. So I hope that you'll check them out. You'll have a good time. And next week, I'm going to try to figure out what went wrong with this live stream. So until then, I think I'm going to just give you I'm going to calm us down with a little bit of flute music and let you go. Get your Zen together. All right. All right. Take care now. I'll see you next week. So long, Pamela. Bye-bye, Linda. All right.